When the truck came barreling down the road, I pushed Jacob out of harm's way. The impact shattered my pelvis, leaving me infertile and permanently wheelchair-bound. For 10 years, Jacob tended to me with guilt-stricken devotion as we remained childless. Our friends envied our unshakable bond, and I believed I'd lived a blessed life until the moment my spirit witnessed him embracing Emily after my funeral. Emily. She's finally gone. Jacob murmured against her hair. I've missed you and Lucas every single day. The woman bit her lip. Are you certain you disposed of all the veterinary medications? What about evidence from the accident? Relax. He soothed. That idiot lived 10 extra years without ever suspecting her devoted husband sabotaged her recovery. The truck driver should have finished the job properly that day. As their lips met, my spectral form convulsed with rage before dissolving into darkness. Then suddenly, I was blinking at my computer screen, whole and unharmed, transported back to the day before the accident. Sophia? Jacob's voice coiled around me like poisoned honey. Let's visit Times Square tomorrow. You've been cooped up writing novels all week. My fingers clenched the mouse until the plastic creaked. Times Square, that ill-fated shopping complex flanked by truck routes where our accident occurred. Last lifetime, I'd been too absorbed in plot ideas to question why he'd chosen that death trap. Sure. Honey. I forced sweetness into my reply, recalling how he'd stepped into traffic during a red light. How conveniently the speeding truck appeared. How my mangled legs never healed despite his tender care. Never knowing he'd been feeding me counterfeit veterinary medication. Now, watching him retreat to the living room, I accessed browser histories he'd forgotten to delete, hotel reservations overlapping with Emily's business trips, encrypted bank transfers to a private investigator. The timeline revealed their 20-year-old love child Lucas was born while Michael still lived abroad, exposing Jacob's decade-long betrayal. My nails bit crescent moons into my palms. This time, the truck would claim its intended target. Let the star-crossed lovers explain their affair to the police when forensic accountants traced the veterinary drug purchases and life insurance policies. Some stories demanded rewriting, and this author intended to craft an entirely different ending. This life. I just want to see how you'll manage if I don't end up crippled. That night after Jacob fell asleep, I secretly unlocked his phone. Since we knew each other's passcodes but never snooped, he'd never changed it. I quickly opened his messaging app and immediately found Emily's profile picture. Their chat history showed only 4 messages, clearly the rest had been deleted. Jacob had written, "Drivers arranged. We'll be together soon." Emily replied, "Okay, darling. But be careful. Don't actually step into traffic. Just pretend to stumble so she has to push you. Got it?" Jacob responded, "Got it. And you better not sleep with Michael. Understand?" I couldn't handle that. Emily's last message read, "Relax." Silly. Even though I'd known about their twisted relationship in my past life, seeing these disgusting messages again sent sharp pains through my chest. These two trampled every moral boundary. And now they wanted me dead. The next day, we stood at the crosswalk facing Times Square. Just like before, Jacob kept glancing left, pretending to wait for traffic while actually anticipating the truck. I spotted the 18-wheeler emerging from the side street exactly on schedule. It idled momentarily before accelerating toward us when Jacob subtly waved. He pretended to check his phone and stepped off the curb. This time, instead of rushing to push him like last time, I stood frozen with feigned shock. A stranger beside me suddenly shouted, "Hey!" The light's still red. Jacob jerked back, realizing I hadn't moved. The truck was already bearing down at full speed. He scrambled backward as the massive vehicle roared past, missing us by inches. Breathless and furious, Jacob wheeled on me. "Why didn't you pull me back? Why didn't you warn me?" I almost laughed. The audacity. "Are you seriously blaming me?" I countered coldly. "Did I tell you to jaywalk?" He flushed. muttering excuses about work notifications distracting him. At the mall, his agitation grew palpable. I knew he desperately wanted to contact Emily about the botched plan. So I kept him busy shopping. Dress after dress. Handbag after handbag. I maxed out his platinum card, watching his face darken with each purchase. During lunch, I finally threw him a bone. Honey, could you get me some orange juice? He practically leapt at the chance. I tailed him discreetly as he ordered my drink, then slipped into the service stairwell. His angry whispers carried through the door. The bitch didn't get hit. I almost died instead. She just stood there like an idiot. This whole plan took months to arrange. Found the driver. Paid $20,000. I leaned against the wall, savoring every frustrated word. Not only was I unharmed, but I drained his bank account too. The bitter taste of his failure felt sweeter than any revenge I'd ever imagined. Watching $20,000 nearly go down the drain while she's still alive really pissed me off. She just went on another shopping spree with my credit card at the mall. Talk about adding insult to injury. Guess I'll have to wait for another opportunity. Well, once this works out, all her assets will be ours. All right. I'll call you again when the time's right. Take good care of our son. That's my boy. God, what a sleazebag. Hearing him about to hang up, I quickly slipped into the bathroom. When I returned to the restaurant table, Jacob Miller was already seated. Seeing me approach, panic flashed across his eyes. Where were you, honey? He asked. I grabbed a napkin to wipe my hands. Just the restroom. Why so jumpy? Didn't know you cared this much. My uncharacteristically flirty tone made him falter, his awkward chuckle hanging in the air. Pulling out my phone, I suggested, we haven't had Michael Miller and Emily Johnson over forever. Let's invite them for dinner tomorrow. Jacob's chopsticks clattered against his plate. What's wrong? I pressed. Haven't seen your brother in half a year. Don't you want family time? Of course. He blurted too quickly. Just Michael's schedule. I'll check with him directly then, I said, already dialing Michael's number. The older Miller brother accepted immediately. From my peripheral vision, I saw Jacob's face twist like he'd bitten rotten fruit. No wonder Emily would be coming, with her husband. All that temptation sitting across the table but untouchable. Delicious agony. My good mood soared while Jacob's plummeted, trapped in his private hell. The next morning, I shopped enthusiastically for our dinner party. As I chopped vegetables cheerfully, Jacob paced the living room like caged prey. Their affair had always been conducted in secret hotel rooms and parking garages. This forced domestic intimacy must be excruciating. When the Millers and Johnsons arrived, the contrast struck me anew. Michael stood shorter than his handsome brother, his stocky build matching his straightforward nature. Emily swayed in like the antithesis of my bookish self, all smoky eyes and pouty lips that made men forget their own names. The 2-year-old clinging to her hand, Lucas Miller, bore Jacob's dimples. My gut twisted. They'd been cheating for at least 2 years then. Say hi to Uncle Jacob, Emily purred as they entered. Lucas chirped. Hi, Uncle Jay. Jacob's anxiety melted instantly as he scooped up the toddler, feeding him with practiced ease. My husband, who'd never changed our son's diaper, now expertly wiping spaghetti sauce from Lucas' chin. Michael beamed obliviously while my blood turned to ice. There we sat, 2 clueless spouses breaking bread with the people cuckolding us. Emily's foot accidentally brushed Jacob's ankle under the table. His knuckles whitened around his fork. I served Michael extra helpings of my famous lasagna. Watching Emily's smile tighten with each bite he praised. The air thickened with unspoken tension, my penance served cold, their guilt simmering hot. Jacob's nervous laughter rang hollow as Lucas smeared mashed potatoes in his hair. Oh yes. We'd be having many more family dinners from now on. In a daze, Emily Johnson suddenly spoke up. Jacob, your brother Michael Miller is planning to work overseas. I froze. Suddenly remembering in my past life around this time, Michael had abruptly announced his intention to emigrate illegally. Without proper documentation, he'd been thrown overboard during a Coast Guard raid and drowned. The snakeheads never paid compensation, and Emily had spent those days weeping with their son Lucas. Jacob had constantly used helping look after our nephew as an excuse to visit them. Now I realized it was never about helping. He'd been keeping Emily company in her grief. With her husband gone and me being a homebody, they'd probably been having their little happily ever after during that period. Hearing Michael's plans again, I instinctively objected. Is overseas work really suitable for Michael? The circumstances aren't ideal. Michael had no education, no savings, and zero English skills. If not for illegal border crossings and under-the-table labor, how could someone like him possibly get legitimate work abroad? At my words, Emily and Jacob's faces darkened. Michael chuckled awkwardly. True. My English isn't good enough for legal immigration. But Emily says she's already connected me with coyotes. I'm planning to cross the border illegally. I protested again. Border jumping is too dangerous. I know multiple people who died at sea during crossings. Even if you survive, getting caught means detention. My words drained the color from Michael's face, his resolve visibly wavering. Emily looked ready to murder me, shooting daggers with her eyes. This was my hard-won opportunity to make real money. Jacob also scowled. They say you can earn a fortune abroad in just a year. A few years' work could buy Michael a proper house. These two would stop at nothing to get Michael out of the picture. I coldly demanded, is money more important than your brother's life? He can earn decently here while staying safe. The pressure worked, too embarrassed to push further. They fell silent though clearly displeased. When Michael finally withdrew his plans, their expressions turned thunderous. After dinner, Michael excused himself for an urgent call, asking Jacob to drive Emily and Lucas home. Jacob agreed with poorly concealed delight. Seizing my chance, I told Lucas, come with Aunt Sophia to get some candy. The boy followed me to the bedroom without hesitation. I actually had candy prepared. While giving him treats, I fibbed, oh dear. I see bugs in your hair. Let Auntie get them out. The child froze obediently as I swiftly plucked several strands, sealing them in a Ziploc bag. Lucas nearly cried from the pain, but I soothed him with more sweets before sending him out. Soon Jacob helped Emily with her purse. Sophia, I'll drive the Johnsons home. I grabbed my own bag. Perfect timing, I need fresh air too. We'll all go. Their faces turned to stone. Forced to accept. Emily forced a smile. Thanks, Sophia. I waved it off. No trouble at all. Let's go. Jacob stomped ahead sullenly. When we reached the car, I automatically moved toward the front passenger seat. Jacob snapped, Sophia. Emily gets carsick. She should take the front. I glanced at Emily, who nodded, standing firm. I countered, but where would Lucas sit? He wouldn't want to be separated from his mom. Turning to the boy, Lucas, would you sit in back with Auntie? No. I want Mommy, the child shouted. Hiding my smirk, I shrugged. See? It's Lucas' choice. Defeated, Emily climbed into the back seat with her son, Jacob's eyes constantly darting to them via rearview mirror during the drive. Disgusting cheaters. Upon arrival, Emily perfunctorily asked, would you like to come up for a bit? I immediately refused. Jacob had no choice but to reluctantly decline with lingering regret. The entire ride was silent. He was probably fuming. After returning home, he sulked in quiet anger, ignoring me. I couldn't care less, feeling nothing but disgust toward him now. Since my rebirth, I'd been using writing deadlines as excuses to avoid sharing a bed, which he seemed perfectly content with. In his mind, only Emily from the Johnson family, that walking temptation, could spark his interest. The next day after he left, I took his and Lucas's hair samples to the testing center. The technician said results would take 2 weeks. The timeline didn't bother me, I already knew the answer in my bones. But Michael needed physical proof. This time around, I wasn't crippled and Michael hadn't died during border crossing. With their paths rarely crossing, Jacob grew desperate. Days later, Jacob invited the Johnson family over, suddenly proposing a group hiking trip. Michael immediately declined, citing their toddler's age as inconvenient. Hearing this, Emily must have been doing cartwheels internally while maintaining surface-level decorum. "Honey, it's no fun without you and the baby." Michael soothed her, "The trails are too rough for him. You go enjoy yourselves." Emily barely contained her glee as she agreed. Jacob looked at me with hopeful anticipation, clearly wanting me to bow out voluntarily. I remained silent, neither committing nor refusing. His inability to directly exclude me visibly tortured him. Deliberately, I took our car out the day before departure to install a hidden camera. When we'd barely started the journey, I made him pull over. "Something came up, I can't go." I'll never forget their poorly concealed delight. Jacob feigned concern through gritted teeth. "What's so urgent?" "Handle it later." I slammed the car door. "Can't wait." "You go ahead." Before they could respond, I hailed a cab. In the taxi, I activated the surveillance feed. The moment I left, Emily scrambled from backseat to shotgun, throwing herself at Jacob. Her breathy excitement filled the audio. "I can't believe we're alone. This is so wild." Jacob laughed, squeezing her. "I thought Sophia would be third-wheeling us all day. Only you make this worth it." Emily giggled. My heart was breaking earlier. But now, their voices dropped as Jacob murmured, "How should we spend our day?" The camera showed Emily pecking his cheek. "Your rules." "Tiger." "The mountain trails?" So scandalous. Their passionate kiss was interrupted by tires screeching toward remote hills. They didn't return for 2 days. Initially, there was radio silence, no calls or texts. By 10 p.m., Michael called me panicking. "Sophia, where are you all? Why can't I reach anyone?" I calmly replied, "I bailed last minute." "They're missing?" His gasp crackled through. "You're not there? What if something happened?" I chuckled. "Relax, they're adults." When he insisted on worrying, I suggested, "Wait till morning. If still nothing, call the police." Sophia had no choice but to agree. "Fine." I don't know how Michael got through that night, but I slept like a baby. Honestly, I bet Jacob and Emily were having their own cozy moment somewhere. The next morning, they still hadn't returned. Michael couldn't wait any longer and called the police in panic. Security footage showed the pair had gone up the mountain but never came down. When this leaked online, it exploded on trending searches instantly. The viral clip showed gorgeous Emily and handsome Jacob, not husband and wife, but in-laws, disappearing together for 36 hours. Netizens went wild speculating about their special relationship. Michael called me in shock. "Sophia, why are people making up these lies? If you'd been there, they wouldn't misunderstand." I mentally facepalmed. Anyone with eyes could see the obvious. Yet this man still believed in their innocence. Instead of answering directly, I asked, "What if the rumors are true?" He froze for 3 full seconds before insisting, "I trust my brother and wife." When rescue teams finally found them, their disheveled photos after coming down the mountain went viral too, grass stains on their clothes. Emily clutching her phone while Jacob trailed behind. The caption #missing in-laws found with minor injuries sparked chaos in comments. "Where's the injury?" "Their butts." "Phone's working now." "Huh? Convenient timing." "2 days alone?" "Bet they needed friction burns treatment." Michael went nuclear in the comments section, getting roasted for his clueless white knighting. When the pair returned looking mortified, Emily dramatically threw herself into Michael's arms. I thought I'd never see you again. She sobbed, relief flashing across her face when he bought her act. Jacob rushed to justify himself to me. Our phones broke when we fell. Honey, don't believe those lies. His pathetic excuse might as well have been subtitled "We banged in the woods." I channeled Michael's naivety, patting his arm. As long as you're safe, dear. Our spouses exchanged triumphant smirks at how easily we fell for it. The internet firestorm changed nothing. These days, Jacob's SUV leaves suspicious dents in backseat upholstery whenever he gives Emily rides. The whole neighborhood knows about their little mountain hiking trips, everyone except our clueless husbands. Of course. I ignored everything Michael said. A few days later, the paternity testing center called to inform me the report was ready. Holding the document in my hands, I felt nothing but numbness. After all, I'd grown desensitized from watching their explicit surveillance footage countless times. Just as I prepared to confront Michael, he announced he'd be joining us for dinner, where he dropped another bombshell: he decided to smuggle himself abroad again after all. Are you serious? I blurted out, unable to hide my shock. I thought we agreed you weren't going through with this. Michael scratched his neck awkwardly. Emily wants us to try for another baby in a couple of years. We'll need the extra money. His wife Emily immediately chimed in. Exactly. Raising 2 kids on our current income would be impossible. My poor husband has to make sacrifices now for our family's future. Jacob nodded solemnly beside her. Women shouldn't worry about these things. Providing is a man's responsibility, especially for someone as dependable as my brother. Their tag team manipulation made my blood boil. Another baby? More like Jacob and Emily's secret love child that Michael would end up raising. My idiot brother-in-law remained oblivious, still playing the devoted martyr. If I didn't intervene now, he'd literally work himself to death for these cheaters. Time to show him the truth. The surveillance app on my phone buzzed with a location alert. As their car pulled out of the neighborhood, I called Michael urgently. He resisted at first, mumbling about packing luggage until I snapped. Get here now or you'll lose Emily forever. The magic words worked instantly. Within minutes, he stood panting in my living room. Where's Emily and Lucas? I demanded. Visiting her parents. He frowned. Left the kid with neighbors. Why are you asking me? You're the one who said she's in danger. My temper flared at his accusatory tone. For the first time in our acquaintance, he'd actually used my full name. Without ceremony, I shoved my phone in his face. Watch this. You idiot. He initially scoffed at the footage. What's the big deal? Jacob's just giving her a ride home. Then the camera angle shifted. The sound of seatbelts clicking open filled my speakers as the car parked in secluded West Hill Lane. Clothing rustled. Heavy breathing escalated. Emily's throaty giggle pierced through. This abandoned alley's perfect. No witnesses. Jacob's belt buckle clinked. Once Michael's gone, we'll have all the time in the world. I'll take you and our son anywhere. Our son? Michael whispered hoarsely, face draining of color as their moans crescendoed. His knuckles turned white around my phone when Emily purred. If only he'd died during the smuggling trip, we'd finally be free. Then I'll deal with Sophia. Jacob grunted between thrusts. Can't have her snooping around. Michael sat frozen, tendons standing out in his neck like steel cables. The damning paternity report I slapped on the table finally shattered his delusions. His trembling hands lifted the document. When, he rasped. How long have you known? Months. I crossed my arms. That's why I kept stopping you from leaving. The realization hit him like a physical blow. His hollow eyes returned to the phone screen where his wife and brother still writhed together, their betrayal playing on loop. For the first time, I saw dangerous sparks igniting behind Michael's docile demeanor, the awakening rage of a betrayed man. He suddenly stood up. Tonight. Pretend I never came. If I don't return, send Lucas to the Johnsons. Before I could respond, he stormed out clutching the paternity test. Half an hour later, Jacob and Emily lay naked in the car post-intimacy, casually chatting. Emily's phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, she paled but feigned calm. "Honey? I'm still at Mom's." Jacob hastily grabbed a shirt and opened the car door, assuming the coast was clear. The instant the door cracked open, a dark figure lunged from the shadows, tackling Jacob onto the back seat. Emily screamed as her phone clattered to the ground. Fists rained down mercilessly as their attacker roared, "My own brother. My wife! How could you? Did you think I was stupid? That I'd never find out? If Sophia hadn't shown me the security footage." Emily took a brutal punch to the face, sobbing hysterically, "Michael, please. We didn't mean." Though taller, Jacob proved weaker than his athletic brother. Pinned beneath Michael's wrath, he begged, "We'll never do it again. I swear." A silver flash glinted in the surveillance feed. A knife. Blood droplets spattered the camera lens as screams escalated from desperate pleas to wet, gurgling noises. The screen blurred red, but Michael's enraged shouts continued, "Not even my son? You fucking traitors! Home alone." I trembled watching my phone, yet felt vicious satisfaction. Those cheaters actually got murdered? Afterward, Michael sat between the corpses dialing 911. "I killed them." When officers arrived, female cops gasped at the carnage. "Christ. Over 30 stab wounds? The whole car's drenched." They took Michael away. I received the call soon after, weeping through police interviews. He'd clearly decided to shoulder full responsibility. The open and shut crime of passion required no complicated testimony. That night, I collected Lucas from the neighbors. The Johnsons already knew they'd been summoned to identify their daughter's mutilated body. We arrived as they prepared to leave for the morgue. When they saw me arrive with Lucas, their eyes instantly welled up with tears. In the end, Emily's mother stayed home to care for Lucas while her father went to the police station. Though they appeared pitiful, they weren't unaware of Emily's actions. After all, in our previous life, they'd known all along that Lucas was Jacob's child. After Michael and I died, they happily became Jacob's in-laws, leaving Lucas behind. I turned and walked away. This time, I'll finally get to live a healthy life.